Okay, hi everyone. I'm Kiki and I'm an alcoholic. Can you hear me? Is this good? Okay. So, oh, thank you, Asia. Oh, wow. When Lisa reached out to me to speak tonight, I was like, oh, great. This is going to be the holiday weekend. There won't be many attendees. And then when I looked at the calendar, like the middle of May, I was like, oh, what did I agree to? There's going to be a little bit more. Then I was thinking, how can I get out of it? Because that's always, that's what I like to do. And then I thought directly to my sponsor who would not let me get out of this. So here I am. I'm so happy to be of service. And as I was told today, it is an honor to be asked to speak at a meeting. So, and this is my home group, so it's even better. Um, let's start. I've been sober 23 years. My sobriety date is March 10th, 2003. And I'm lucky that that's just my second sobriety date. I came in February of 2003 and I had to drink again. Something came up and it was like, oh, I'm going to show you. And that was exactly what I did. I just showed them that I was not done drinking. So, it's been an incredible journey and one that I just would have sold myself short. You know how when you're newly sober, your sponsor say, write the list of what you want. And it was just what I have today is not even come close to it. Even if I did it like 5 years ago, what I have today wouldn't, my life would not look like that. So I'm originally from Los Angeles and my parents, I come from, a mixed household. My mom is Filipino, my dad is Black. And I hadn't recently started talking about how that was just a little different for me because I just felt like I'm an alcoholic and that didn't play much into my life, but it did. That feeling of not belonging started out there. I grew up in a Black area, so I have lighter skin, I have straighter hair, so it was a little. The Black girls especially didn't welcome me as much. And then the Filipino people were like, you don't speak it. So what, so it was just a little conflicted growing up. But, that didn't make me an alcoholic. I come from a very Filipino household. My mother is very strict. She wasn't affectionate in that way. And my father wasn't either. My mother had some she had emotional and psychiatric issues that weren't addressed. So our relationship was very intense, and my father was a great codependent who just would look at, don't make any waves. So that was difficult because that's not my personality, right? I will make waves. You come at me, I'm coming right back. So it was a little difficult in the house. But, I found alcohol and that was just so wonderful because I didn't have that constant chatter in my head. I was about 13 when I had my first drunk. I was with my cousin who was 7 years older. We went to the park and I drank beer and I came home and I was sick. I was throwing up and my mother's like, what's going on? I was like, oh, I just ate some bad food, lying out the gate, and I just went to sleep. And I called my cousin the next day, like, let's do it again. She was like, no, let's not, and I just thought that was a little bizarre because I just had that relief and I just chased that. So I got into high school, I was a party girl, and it was weird because I knew that I have an older sister. So she didn't do well academically, and my parents were always on her. And so I knew, like, I was always hustling, right? So I knew that if I did well academically, they would be off my back. And I did. And I had a lot more freedoms for that. So I was going to parties and I was drinking. And, I remember one of the first parties I went to, I'm drinking like I've done this my whole life. And I was very comfortable with it. And I go to school on Monday and everyone's like, oh, we just thought you were a nerd. I was like, well, what? I'm cool too. And they're like, oh, okay. And it was just like, I was always a sloppy drinker. And, fast forward to me being a young adult. My parents, like I said, I'm originally from LA. So they moved up here when I was about 20. They moved to Concord. And like I said, my mother and I had a very intense relationship. They moved up here because of my dad's job. And I was like, well, where am I going? Well, so I'm moving to Concord. Like I'd never heard of it. And I was like, who lives in Concord? That sounds kind of weird. And they're like, we do. And I was like, oh, well, no, we do, not you're staying here. And I was like, oh my. Right. So they moved up to Concord and I stayed in LA and I really just got into my disease. I no longer felt like I had that parental eye over me and I was doing everything that I could. I turned 21 in LA. I was in the clubs a lot. I did that. I dated a lot. I dated, guys in bands. And so what goes along with that? And, I get to drink on their tab, which was like heaven, right? So I just remember, one night I was out and drinking on his tab and he was like, who else were you buying drinks for? And I was like, and I was insulted, like, I would never do that, right? And he was like, it's kind of like, and then I'm just trying to think, oh, well, Sarah was there and I got her something and this and that. And you're like, oh my God. And I had to just brush it off. And, like my relationships didn't last because that's how it went. They'd catch me doing something and I'd lie and then would go back and forth. So I ended up, I was 24 years old and I was like, I was sitting at home, I was drunk and high, and I saw this commercial because, they show those commercials and I like to stay up late, so it was like probably 2 or 3 in the morning and they had a commercial for culinary school. And, the girl looked really cute with her neckerchief and the hat. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to look cute. And I don't like to cook though, right? I didn't think that part in. So I call the next day and I go to the school and I am just like, I am all in, right? So I start this journey and I'm like, I have knives. And they're like, you have to wear short nails with no nail polish. And I'm like, what is this about? Right. So I continued doing it because there's a part of me, although I hated it, I knew that I didn't finish things, right? So I was like, I've got to finish this. Because I went to Santa Monica City College so many times. And then, there was another one out there that I went to. Then I came up here and did some of that too. But so I was like, when I was in culinary school, I was like, I've got to finish something. So I stuck with it. And, I found my people. There was Jeff. And Jeff and I loved to drink. And we would get sloppy. And class, I think, was like at 8. And we're walking into class at 8, ready, And the one thing that I took away from that experience was that you have to taste all your ingredients, which I was like, yes. Right? Because, you have to taste this. Oh, I'm cooking with wine. This is wonderful, right? So I'm cooking with that and I'm tasting it and I'm drinking. And it's like, I remember there's times at the end of the class, you have to plate up. And I was like, I don't even know if it's cooked, right? It was just like, it's a shot in the dark. So, I met my people and there was like some other people, Sherry and Cecil, and the 4 of us are just like hanging. We're really tight. We like to drink. And we'd all give money to Sherry and she kept a cooler in her trunk. And so with the alcohol, they kept it. So that was first quarter. Second quarter, they put a lock on the cage, right? The liquor cage. I don't know how, but we ended up with a key to the lock. So it didn't help, right? So we're still drinking but I finish. Right. And I finished and I felt so accomplished. Like I finally did something. But now it was like, now I got to cook in a kitchen. I didn't want to I didn't plan it through. Right. It was like, so this is what I got to do now. So I did it and I hated it. It was hot and I had to stand and then carry these big pots with water. It was like, I did not think this through, but I was like, okay, this is what I do now. Right. I hate it. And I couldn't see how I could get out of it, but my life is falling apart. I'm getting kicked out. I can't pay rent. I'm getting kicked out of here, getting kicked out of there. So when I was in culinary school, I had an affair with one of the instructors and we decided that we would wait until after I graduated that, we would then continue. So it was the day after. Or a couple, we had a date and then within that week I moved in, right? So that's how I was living my life because I was getting kicked out of where I was living. So I needed a place to stay. And he was going to have his children for the summer and he needed someone to watch his kids. I was like, sure, not a problem. I can watch kids. I don't like kids, right? And it was just like, once again, did not think it through. And they were 7 and 4. And so they are kids. and they required a lot. I just wanted to be able to watch them, however, like in my periphery and then do my stuff, but I had to be engaged. And that was just so difficult for me. So, and then that created stress between us because he's like, you're not doing anything with the kids when I go out to work. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Right. And it was just tough. So there's one day I had this great idea that I was going to take them to the pool. So I take them to the pool, and the little girl who was 4, she had issues with her ears. So she had tubes in her ears. So my great idea was to set her on the ledge of the pool, and the older one was going to show me whatever trick she could do. I don't do anything sober at this point. So before I go to the pool, I have me a vodka crayon, which is just the crayon is for color, a splash, and I'm there and I'm drunk. So I'm playing with her, and I have the little girl, I don't hear her any longer. And I turn around, she's face down in the pool, and I pull her up, and all I hear is, right? And I'm freaked out. And all I can think out is like, what if something happened to me? Right. I wasn't thinking that little kid was scared. I take her out of the pool. She's crying. She's frightened. And all I think, and I yell at her, like, you needed to listen. So I take them back to the room. I put back to the apartment, put them in the room, and I drink, because that's all I know how to do, because I was only thinking about me, and I had to calm myself down. Shortly after that, he kicks me out, and I'm living in this dope fiend hotel, and it's insanity. But I'm working at the Ritz-Carlton in Dana Point, right? I'm cooking there, but that's where I'm living. It was just like my life did not match. So I moved up here to Concord and with my parents, and I brought the disease of alcoholism into their home. I'd visited them a few times, and for a few days. So they knew that I drank, but they didn't know like how I lived. And, it started creating some tension among us, and I would get jobs and I'd get fired, get jobs and get fired. And I just thought, Concord was a really rough place because I'd never gotten fired in LA. And so I was like, these people are they're mean, right? Because I was like, LA, we're just a lot cooler. That's just people here just expect too much. And so I finally get fired from this one place. My parents are sick of me. I'm living there. I don't know, but I don't know how all this is happening, right? And I had to go. My parents were like, are you going to work tomorrow? I was like, oh, well, yeah, I only worked part-time at this job. And I was like, well, it's only part-time. They didn't need me. So I had to finally tell them. And when I told them that I was fired, my father, who had always been my was just like, what's the matter with you? And when he said that and the way he looked at me, I knew it was up. So I went to my room and I drank a bottle of wine, took a bottle of pills, and I was like, okay, I just need to relax. And then I was relaxing and I was like, oh no, this is a bit much. So I call, 911, they come, they get me. So I'm in my parents' apartment, right? In my room, in the dark, because I like to be in the dark, and I'm killing myself. My parents are in their living room watching Jeopardy, okay? And they have no idea this is going on. They get the knock at the door. My father tells me this. He comes, and at this point in my drinking, it was either I was going to go and try to pick someone up at a bar, or I was going to try to kill myself. Those were the options that I was having at the end of my drinking. So it wasn't the first time they'd been to the apartment within 30 days. So they pick me up and I go to Martinez, and I'm on a hold. And so my father comes in the next day, and my father is not an emotional man. And he comes in and he is crying, and he's like, I don't know what to do with you. And I said, I don't know what to do with you. Right. And he's like looking at me so concerned, like, you don't know what to do with me. And, he's telling me this. He goes, I just want you to get the help you need. And I tell him, I hope you get the help you need. Right. But he's able to leave the locked facility and roam the world. And I'm here under watch. So they allow me to come back home, and they were like, you cannot drink in our home. And I said, okay, I won't. I knew up until that point, I knew that I couldn't predict what would happen when I drank. So I was like, okay, it's not safe for me to drink. So I knew that I knew about AA. And so I called the hotline, and they told me about the 5:30 Wiggett meeting. So I went there, and I'm in the parking lot. I see this woman walk in. And so I whispered to her, I'm like, are you here for the AA meeting? She's like, yes. I'm like, oh, wow. You didn't have to say it loudly. Right. So we go and I'm sitting there and she sits with me and she's like that. We have the program. That was my introduction. And she sits with me and I raise my hand at my first AA meeting ever. And everyone says, "Hi, Kiki." And I am like, what is up with you people? Like, thank you. And the woman invited me to a meeting. She was secretary the next day and I went. I had not been invited anywhere, months before that. So it was like, okay, I came. And so I went to this meeting and I didn't understand how my life had gotten to this, right? I was like, all I need to know is how I got here and then I can go back. And they're like, okay, keep coming back. I was like, whatever, right? And I would go to these meetings and I would, everyone's just keep coming back, Kiki. And I was like, whatever, I don't want to. And I was like, I'm just doing 6 months here and then I'm out. And so 6 months came and it was around the anniversary, the intergroup anniversary. And we stood up and I had to stand up for 6 months and everyone clapped for me. And I was like, I am supported. Like, I felt so supported and a part of that. I was just like, I love being here. And I ended up staying. And that's just the beginning of how I got here. 3 years ago, I had one of the hardest things happen to me. My father passed. And that was, I think about it, like that broke me. That really did. And I do this with people, right? I'm like, hi, I like you. No, this is as much as you can get in. And that I had to let that guard down. My sponsor has a monthly meeting that she does with everyone and with all her sponsees. And I never went, right? I was always like, oh, I'm working, I can't go, I'm busy. Or like, she was like, I'm trying to create a community for you. And I was like, no, thank you. Right. I was like, I know, because I got her when I had some time. So I was like, you were to take me through the steps. Thank you very much. And she was like, I don't know what to do with you. I was like, I got this. Thank you. But I was in so much pain. So when that happened, I went to the meeting and I had to like let people, because I was broken. And I said, I just went through this and my father passed. And the support I got, I didn't know that I would get. That year of 2023, I just decided to make it my year of yes. And I said yes to things that I would always say no to. I started making more friends. I have these relationships with people that I never thought I would have. My sister and I, during that time, so when I had about a little under a year of sobriety, I tried to make amends to her. So we had a rough relationship and my sister is very tough. And so I tried to make amends to her and we got into a physical fight. So that when people are like, oh, I share that because some people have those amends stories where they're like, it went great. And sometimes it doesn't. And that's just the way it is. And so when we did, and she and I were rocky after that. And so when everything was going on with my dad, she and I had to come together. And when we had that fight, she is from my mom's first marriage. We have different last names and we have the same last name, but like I said, she's from my mom's first marriage. So when we were fighting, I wanted to hurt her because like she was ready to knock me out. So I knew that I couldn't fight her. So I was very nasty with what I told her. My last name is Gorman. And I told her, I said, at the Gormans, I said, no one thinks of you as a Gorman. And I knew that would hurt. And she was like, I don't care. No one thinks of you. And I was like, fine. And that was this fight. So when when we were together, when my dad passed, she goes, do you know why I haven't spoken to you in all these years? And so I'm feeling like she was ready to make amends to me. I was like, because I didn't know why she didn't speak to me. I'm so perfect. So I sat there, waiting like, yes, why didn't you, And she said, because of what you said to me, she goes, you don't know how that hurt. She goes, I hold my adoption papers that dad took me in when my dad didn't want me. And I sat there and I was like, oh my God, I've just caused so much pain, and that was when I was able to make that amends. And I said, I apologize for that. What can I do to make it better? And she said, I want a sister. It took, I think I had 19 or 20 years when that happened. And it took all that time for me to be able to cultivate this relationship that I have with my sister. You know, she lives in Hawaii. We talk as much as we can and we try to get together. And that's because of Alcoholics Anonymous. When everything went on with my father, like I said, it was the most difficult time of my life, but AA taught me how to show up. You know, when I came here, I was stealing from them. They wanted nothing to do with me. They kicked me out of their home. And towards the end of his life, I was the power of attorney. I made those decisions. And it's because you people taught me how to show up. And to say that I'm grateful for this program just seems like such an understatement because I have this life today that I've allowed people to love me. And I get to show up for people today. I get to like be there when my sponsees call when they have like stuff going on. I get to show up for friends who are having a rough time when they're going through it with their family or they're scared when their parent is ill. And I'm very grateful to be here. So thank you. Oh, and now I would like to introduce Bob.
Many answers, huh? You're about an alcoholic. I'll qualify myself first. Been married, well, 39 years sobriety. I had a birthday last week. 39 years. 38 years old. I've been married for 44 years to 4 different women. Yeah. You know, I can't talk about everything in my experiences because it was too many of them. And so I'm going to just give you part of it. I'm going to give you the fun part, the Parkinson part. I got Parkinson's while I was in sobriety and Alcoholics Anonymous. And my first week, I visited to a little drunk tank when I was 17. I was 17 years old. Drove to McDonald's, my brother Dan, and his brother Roger, who was a cop. I remember this so clearly. And my brother Dan acquired a nickname of Toucan Dan. Toucan the Budweiser, he's good. He's good. Toucan the Budweiser, what the hell? I can get a little bit more and I can get him a full-fledged alcoholic. Now, I had, I got an ad in the Ford paper, in the paper. I got sober in Detroit. And I got an ad in the paper for a machine repair apprentice. And I got, oh, geez, I'll let me try for that. That's one of the best jobs you can get over in the Detroit area. But I was an apprentice, machine repair apprentice. And get my education, fully paid for, job, fully funded, very paid. And I had made it. I thought they wouldn't bother me. They did. They fired me after a little over a year. I had a great job. I had all I knew to go to school on Monday. And I couldn't make it. And so I lost my job. It was just couldn't believe I could do that. Anyway, I was really not much of a. I mean, I drank. But when I was tough drunk, I was punk drunk. That's what I call it, a punk drunk. One day was a high DUI, and one speeding ticket, one reckless driving. So I don't consider myself prison. Like Frank is prison drunk. He's a badass. I'm just a punk drunk. And so I get along. I married a woman there. That's my first wife. And she's a perfect woman for an alcoholic. Perfect. And I had to get rid of her and find somebody tougher. But anyway, I was drinking moonshine, Budweiser, tequila. That was my drink of choice. 17 years old. And I thought nothing of it. Ran through the woods, drunk in a blackout with a gun, shooting critters in the trees, I was okay. It's nuts. Anyway, I finally moved from there to Michigan to San Diego, and from San Diego up here to San Francisco. I'm a first truck driver driving up there. The only one. So pulled the judge took me aside and said, Bob, you got a drinking problem. You're gonna have to do something about it. You're going to jail, you're going to prison. Oh my God, I'm too little to go to prison. And so I proceeded to go on probation. He told me to go on, you go to three Alcoholics Anonymous meetings a week. Okay, I can do that. I just wanted to just not go to prison. That's all you want to do. And so I started going every day. I didn't have a job, but I went every day. And then when I went in for my Dwayne Anderson was my probation officer meeting. He said, "Oh, I see you're going every day, huh?" He looked at myself. Yeah, I'm going every day. I love it. I love it. It's just great. It's wonderful. And he said, "Well, good. We'll change your probation every day." That's like made me come every day. Took me from 3 days a week. I came up to 7 days a week. What the hell is that? Yeah, that's what it is. But anyway, so I returned out to a group called the Forum in San Francisco. It was 14 people, 14 people, maybe 20. It was about a small meeting. And it was kind of me, get the guy out of your ears, put it in your mouth, keep your mouth shut, we'll talk to you. We want to speak to you. We'll tell you when you can speak. They tell me I can speak. I want to sit there and shut up. You hear nothing for us to say. Okay. So they didn't like the fact I worked as a bartender. But I read the big book and it says, unless you have a reason to be there, you can't go to bars and places without you have a reason to be there. Well, if I have a reason to be there, if I work there, I have to be there, right? So I looked at it and they didn't like that. So they had a pool going on, all kinds of stuff. I had a really rough game. I didn't believe in God or nothing. I was in my bottom. I just cruised along, cop pulled me over, and that was it. Anyway, I ended up homeless. And and I ended up homeless. And I was 60, by 6 years, I was doing my thing already. And then I opened a place called the Anonymous Place on Chestnut Street in San Francisco. And Stacy used to come in there. Stacy Crane, she used to come in all the time and buy gifts for Danville Beer Meeting. Because, I like to do this. It'd be fun. Let me open a store with you. She said, well, it's okay. But you come up with the money, I'll put up my expertise. We opened the Anonymous Place in Main Street, Walnut Street. And that's for a long time. I got my wife out of there. I met my second wife out of there. And we were married for 26 years. It's a long time to be married. She had no right to divorce me. She divorced me for 26 years. Can you believe that? Sweet guy like me? I mean, I was a mess. I was an actual mess. I come out of the shower one night, got out of the shower, I said, I'm going to buy a bar. I'm going to buy a bar. I'm buying a bar. That's what she lived with. I come out and she said, yeah, we argued, fought about it. She said, oh, you can't do anything anyway. You don't have any money. So 3 days later, I owned the bar. But anyway, where's my timer?
You're good.
I'm good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Up 15 minutes.
All right. So like I said, I was sober 6, 7 years, I don't forget exactly what. And then I felt my cheeks twitching. That was my cheeks twitching for. Twitching. I'm twitching. Cheeks not supposed to twitch. Anybody else cheek twitch? Doesn't twitch. My cheek was twitching. I knew it was twitching. Shit, I got MS. I knew it. Never right thought I had MS. Son of a bitch. No. And I got 3 kids. I had 3 brand new kids, 5 years old, 3 years old, and a brand new one. And I'm going to be able to walk in 3 years, 5 years maximum. Nobody ever had MS. And so I was figured out in 5 years. So anyway, I didn't know exactly what to do. And so I said, I can't tell my wife, so I get this, I gotta do something. So I started a new business. And Gary, that makes me very nervous when you look at your watch. I'm speaking up here. So anyway, so I opened a real estate appraising company. I started a company with real estate appraisal. Did real well. I made real money, good money. You have to support it. And so, and so we run that company. Well, that would be my lovely wife, of course. She can run it. So I just told her, I didn't tell her this, I told her later after I opened the company. And so anyway, we opened a appraisal company and we went, and my eyelids started twitching. What the hell is my eyelid twitching for? I'm a bitch. Something else is twitching. And so my hand's shaking. And she said, what's the matter with your hand? I said, nothing's wrong with my hand. Your hand is shaking? No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. We're going to get you to a neurologist. Take me to a neurologist. And the neurologist says, you have Parkinson's. That was 25 years ago. Parkinson's. Yeah. I thought I had MS. No, you got Parkinson's. And I said to myself, oh my, I can handle this. It's taken me 20 years. But the what so I had to realize what I was going to do. I had an attitude of gratitude. I was so grateful I had Parkinson's instead of MS. Now I'm happy to have Parkinson's. Happy. And many people are happy to get Parkinson's. I'm not happy now, but anyway, so I got Parkinson's and I started working and I'm not the person I want to be physically. I'm not the person I will be physically. I am who I am. I'll be what I will be and not who I want to be, not who I was. My life right now is the love person I've become and do not regret the past. I love the insight it's given me, or and I'm grateful for everything that I think would be. Slow me down enough to just I can see what's going on. I said before I would be able to walk anymore, I should empty my bucket list, the place I wanted to walk. I was a great hiker, I loved hiking. I had to, so I had the John Muir Trail. I wanted to hike. I wanted to hike Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, Mount Shasta. I wanted to hike all these places. Go to the Rim Trail. And I knew at some point I wouldn't be able to walk. Still this week, but anyway. So I got in shape. I just got in shape every day. I did the Lafayette Reservoir Rim Trail. Remember that, Rich? Lafayette Reservoir, he worked out with me. And we did 2 times around. It's not easy. We're packing our bags away we went. And we did 55 minutes. About 55 minutes, whatever it is. Like that. It was incredible. Couldn't believe I did it. Anyway, I got into shape, started to go climb Mount Shasta. And I went, and we said, I'll go climb Mount Shasta. We took my wife up there. She went up for a little while. 10,000 feet, 10,000 feet, we were 42. And I was 62 years old, I got all the Parkinson's. And climbing a mountain, it was crazy. So I got to base camp, Mount Shasta, and it still starts to melt. You know, you can't have it melt, you know, because it falls, the rock comes down with it. So anyway, finally, we took off at 3 o'clock in the morning. We were free to go on up. And they got to get there in a couple of hours. They got to coming back. Oh man, they're coming back already. I zipped up, zipped back. Well, I zipped as fast as I could. I just couldn't do any faster. And so I went up a little bit. And I thought, what the hell am I going to do now? So I thought, hey, how much further is it you got? How far is it coming down? And I said, oh, we're going to make it. We didn't make it. And we had to turn around and come back. They're not coming around, come back with me. I was done. I knew next year we're going to be able to walk. So there's no coming back with me. And so I kept pushing on. At some point, when you're doing something like that, just decide when you're going to quit, when you're going to stop or go. You just reach out to the wall. What's going to happen? Yeah. And so I decided, well, I'm going up. And so I had to shoot. The chute was 400 feet long. And 10 minutes, I'm good. And I listened to the whole story. And so I made it nothing I had. In fact, I had to come back down. Another 10,000 feet. I can't turn around now, almost there. At that point, a difficult journey when you quit and you go towards your head. So I was the oldest person in that summit that day. There were 150 attempted, 150 people went up that day, and 10 of us made it. I believe we were the only ones. I'm sure I was the only one with Parkinson's. My name is a book. There's a book, sign a book right there. And so, anyway, I knew that I'd not attempted another one. There's another year, so there's another next year coming. So we got back to camp. Everybody wants to see the old man at Summit. You know, all these people was around. Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was exhausted. And so I saw that was a big deal. Then I started, of course, I started talking. Well, let's go to Mount Whitney. We're going to climb Mount Shasta. We got out. Let's climb Mount Whitney. And my ex-wife, she's my ex-wife now. I live with her, by the way. Yeah, she's a story. And she said, you know what you're going to do? You're going to spend time with your kids. That's what you're going to do. You get off your high horse and spend time with your children. That's what you need to do. You don't need to be coming. You know, working out takes a lot of 4 or 5 hours a day of working out. You can spend time with your kids. And so I decided, okay, she's probably right. And she was right. The best 10 years I've ever had is, I mean, sure, it was fun crossing a glacier with 30 miles away and trying to blow you off. It was fun. You know, sliding down a hill, scared to death, that you didn't die. Anyway. I knew I was not having an attempt to next year, so I kept going until I got there. It'll be forever in my mind. I go by that mom, I cry. But that's it, because Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, say, well, no, you're talking about drinking. No, I'm not talking about drinking. I'm talking about stuff I did after I'd done drinking. And so I spent the last next day with my kids. I had my daughter, she's an astrophysicist. I don't know how to spell it either. An astrophysicist. And she's getting work, getting a doctorate degree. And she's just as beautiful as can be. And a hard worker. And my son's a Long Beach cop. He wanted to be a running gun job. I was just, you know, when I see him from Compton, so he picked a real energetic place to be. And he's a cop up there. And my third son is a heroin addict. And he suffers. And I suffer too. So anyway, we went up to well, my son was in his birthday kid, place me that. My kids did everything they needed. They're just incredible creatures. And my son, I haven't seen him in 2 years. Very sad. But I called the police and they haven't seen him. They said, no, we'll stay by him. He died, well, no. Okay, because he had that surgery. Anyway. And I had a hip replaced. I thought my Parkinson's would kill me. My hip was going to replace, I stopped. And then I had arthritis, my shoulders. I'm falling apart like a cheap suit, basically. But I got a lot of work on with my body. And so I got a new hip, January. And Stribbles have been healed better than dealing with this. I went to Brookings, Oregon once a year with my kids, go fishing. And I had a regular cattle dog named her Angel. She wasn't an angel. Back in the fast, she kept me moving. She kept me going. I kept me moving. I go like 2 miles a day with her. And all this stuff, I'm sober. So I'm 78 years old, Parkinsonian. That's how we just as old Parkinsonian. Some of us do. And I was really separated from my wife. My wife divorced me after 26 years. I don't see how she divorced me. I really like myself a lot. But she did. And it was kind of a rough divorce. And she So I got my apartment, I had a nice apartment, 8 years. Lived right by me here. And she, I currently work for her now, my wife. And I do that day at a time. And, yeah, that was my life every once in a while. Anyway, personal growth comes hard sometimes. She can't drive, she's legally blind, so she can't do inspections, I can do inspections. I do the inspection, we work together now. I do the inspections, and she does the appraisal, the paperwork, which works out great. And it works, they put our kids through school, they all went to college, and they, they're doing great. I just saw my daughter yesterday. And my son, I saw him two days ago, he comes up from Long Beach. And my son's battle with addiction continues. Even as with methadone, he currently has the same girlfriend he's been with involved for several years. So when young people need an AA, so I could figure out how I can help him get off this insane addiction. And how to get out. Instead of recovering, putting their lives, see other people putting their lives together, get over the drug and the part in the book that is true. And I tell them, read the promises, Brad, read the promises. He said, no, man, Dad, it's not going to help me. Yeah, you read the promises. If you're patient about the fate of you'll be made for here halfway through. You're going to new freedom and new happiness. Not forget to pass over and shut the door on it. Just read the promises, Brad. They're there for you. And my dad, these people don't even like me. Brad, they have to like you. These people have to like you. They have no choice but to like you and to help you get along. It's really that's the sad thing about it, but they have to help you. So I'm trying to give them as much forward as I could. And I thought, hell, I'm going to start liking myself. Anyway, I didn't get that. I didn't get, never had to change his mind. Well, not change his mind, he had to fight the addiction. And so that, so I can tell this. And I get that. Well, I got the ability to say this from Brandon, I love you and respect you. The more you can, believe that you get incredible cross the bear as you go through life. You don't have to be born with Asperger's. You just got lucky, I guess. And your attempts at self-medication, you're not addicted, as anyone would be. Anyway, so I don't look at you as a loser anymore. I think you're strong and be strong. You're impressed by your soul and your loyalty to Hannah. And I'm proud that you have my son. You are my son. Always said, made me sad that my father never saw the man I had become. My father never helped the man I became. He died when I was drunk. And I said, it made me sad that the father never saw the man I become. Well, I don't really feel that anymore. I now know that you do not need to be clean, sober for a good man, Brian. You're a good man. My life is full, to say the least. I got involved with the city of Pleasant Hill. You have to give this shit away. You can't keep it. You have to give it away. And I figured, I got involved with the city of Pleasant Hill, volunteer and stuff. I was involved in the 4th of July celebration. The fireworks that they put out here? I put those on there for 4 years. It was incredible. Can't went to him. I went to him one time. And he was just incredible. When you do something that makes 4,000 people happy at the same time, that's a great, beautiful energy. Incredible. So anyway, I was nominated for Citizen of the Year in Pleasant Hill. Citizen of the Year. It's the highest award they have in Pleasant Hill. That's incredible. And she wrote something about me. Bob Kelly is a longtime Pleasant Hill resident and well known for his extreme volunteerism. Bob has always given exemplary service to the community. All under the radar. Bob never set out to get higher office or to get praise for anybody. He's saying that this is interested in his heart, volunteering at local church, defensive church, and checking on local homeless people. That's what I mean. Stop. So anyway, that's why I did this, giveaway. And so, the bidding line is completely full. I'm happy person as a person can be. So capital still in the fourth dimension. So I mean, I chose the road of happy destiny. But take a walk, let's go. Let's do it. Thank you.